Welcome to Ask the Latina. By 2050, Latinos will account for 25% of the total women population here in the United States. But today, only 2% are in engineering and science. Today, my guest is Valentina Vargas. She is a high school graduate from Clarkston High School, and she is a science major, correct? And so I am so pleased to have you here. It's great because I know that you are going to inspire a lot of other young Latinas, and we definitely need a lot more Latinas in these fields. Definitely. So tell me about yourself, your heritage, or where you're from. You're Latina.
So I was born in Viña del Mar, Chile, and both my parents and I were born there, and we immigrated to the United States when I was a little bit over a year old. Wow. And we first moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and then about 8 years ago we moved to Michigan.
Wow. How long were you in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania then?
A little more or less 10 years.
10 years, oh, okay. Wow, well you still had a little bit of the cold weather, I guess.
Yes.
Have you been back to Chile?
Yes, we went twice, once when I was around 6 in the first grade, and then once last summer.
Oh, okay, that's great. And how many siblings do you have?
I have one younger brother, and he is 15.
Okay. And what inspired you to get into science and math? I mean, were you always something that you liked doing, or who is there someone that inspired you, or was it something that you saw?
I actually think this is always a really funny question because up until I was 10 years old, I really wanted to be a fashion designer.
Wow.
That was my dream for a long time because I loved clothes, but I also loved that you got to use math because you were either adding or subtracting.
That's true.
And that's all the math I knew when I was that age.
That's true. That's true.
But once I kind of discovered what engineering was and how it incorporated math and science, that became my passion. And so since I was 10, I decided I wanted to be an engineer.
Wow, that's great. Wonderful. And it is true. A lot of those things do go into those factors. So what was your favorite class in school, and why was it your favorite?
My favorite class was always math, for sure, whether it was algebra, trigonometry, calculus. Calculus was actually one of my favorite classes ever.
Wow, that's great.
And I had a really great math teacher, Mrs. Hughes, and so she was a big reason that I loved the subject.
It does make a difference who your instructor is, your teacher, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. I've had calculus at Michigan State. No, that's where you're going for your college, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you're going to major in?
Environmental engineering.
Fantastic, that's great. So what is CSM Tech? I know that you took that, and that's, tell us a little bit more about the program and how you went about wanting to be part of it, or did your parents encourage you to go in, or how did that go about?
So that's a program that I learned about when I was in middle school. It stands for the Clarkston Science, Mathematics, and Technology Academy.
Oh, okay.
And it's something that you can enter in 8th or 9th grade when you're here at Clarkston. And so it's a specialized STEM program that accelerates an advanced curriculum so that you have time to integrate different real-world technologies. So I've been able to do things like code HTML websites, I've built catapults, you can do internships. And actually a lot of like the biology labs or chemistry labs that I've gotten to do are the same ones you take in your freshman year science classes.
Wow, that's fantastic.
College, yeah.
At the college level,
yes.
So you're ahead of the game there. That's wonderful. Yeah. Tell us about the internships you've taken. Have you taken advantage of any of those, or?
So I haven't personally taken advantage of any of the internships, but it's a very common option that you can.
That's
Instead, I've focused on the biology labs, the chemistry labs, where I've gotten to dissect things or see real cadavers. And
wow.
Then, I've also done some of the multimedia.
You're going to be a brain neurologist, are you? That's an option.
Yeah, definitely.
That's also another option, I guess, when there's a lot of science and everything. So not just the mechanics, but also in being able to solve medicine and everything, correct?
Yeah.
So engineerings are I know there's biomedical engineering. Is that one of those areas that maybe does more technology combined with science?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to get involved with like prosthetics or different like groundbreaking technologies that have more interaction with the human body. A lot of kids in the program don't want to go into engineering. They actually want to go into medicine.
That's great.
Or even just be a biology major, a math teacher, really anything in the STEM realm you can be, and that program's going to help you get there.
And that's true. STEM does count for science, technology, engineering, and math, but it doesn't say, I always say medicine instead of math. That's what it should be, because I totally believe, like you said, it's kind of a lot of it comes together. You're really kind of not just engineering and mechanics, but engineering of the body is very amazing. So nice to hear about that. So tell us about environmental engineering. What inspired you to go into that for your college major as you go to Michigan State?
Well, obviously I found my passion for engineering, but I kind of always wanted to do something with it, something that could help me contribute to the world in some way.
Right.
And so that's where environmental came into play, because I always thought, well, maybe I could save the planet. And so I'd like to have a focus in renewable energy and kind of work on the wind power and solar power and make it more efficient, so that way we can keep moving away from fossil fuels.
That's great. That's good. You know, since I mentioned there's only 2% of Latinas in science and engineering, tell me about did you see any more Latinas in your classes, or were you the only one?
To be honest, this was a really interesting question, because I haven't thought about that as much before. In the class that graduated before me, there was one other girl, and her family was from Mexico. But in my graduating class, I actually was the only one. Wow. Which I didn't even realize until you asked the question.
Yeah.
So that's kind of unfortunate, because I think that as Latinas we have a lot to offer. We have a unique perspective and experience that allows us to give something different when it comes to problem solving solutions or talking about real world problems. And I think that it's really important to try and encourage more girls, especially Latina girls, to get involved in the STEM fields, because we can bring something unique that nobody else can.
That's right, and thank you so much, and you're definitely an inspiration to them right now, so it's very important. I agree with you. So if you're listening to this, definitely consider it, and if you can't find the same program in your high school, probably need to go and ask them to put that in. And contact us for any more information if you want. So that's good that you saw that. And one thing I'll add is it's also good to, if you're bilingual, because some of these things will take you into other different areas. It is a global economy too, so it does help with that. So it's interesting. Tell us about some of the programs. I think you were in a robotics program, is that correct?
I was. So I was part of Team Rush Robotics, which is a first robotics team here at Clarkston High School. I was team captain of the program for 2 years, and then I also did a variety of other things on the team. So I was part of our communications, I was on our pit crew helping fix the robot, and then I was also on our chassis sub-team. So I helped develop the drivetrain, the wheels, the gearboxes, that sort of thing. Neat. And then in 2018, we were actually the world champions.
Wow, that's great.
So we do a lot of things with it. Also outside of robotics, I helped start a FLL Junior, which is first Lego League program here at Clarkston.
Oh, that's great.
And so that's getting kids involved, first through third graders, with Lego robotics and introducing them to the field.
That's fantastic. That's good, because it's really getting into doing something real quickly and getting involved into the STEM field early on. Is this something you would consider doing with maybe a group of Latinas at that age?
Definitely. I think it's absolutely amazing just to see the kids in general, but especially if we could reach that audience and get more young Latina girls involved that early. I think that we could change the world.
Okay, we got a deal. We got a deal. We're going to make that happen. So applying for college, as far as applying for college, some Latinas kind of have a little bit of not sure how to go about doing that. Tell us about your experience in applying, and perhaps the CSM Tech probably did help you a lot with that. But what was the process, and what are some of the things that you learned from it that maybe other Latinas that are in high school and are considering a college right now could need to know about, actually, from your experience?
One of the biggest things I would say is that do your research about the schools that you want to go to. A lot of schools have very cool either diversity programs or, like, for example, Michigan State has a chapter for the National Society of Hispanic Engineers. And so being a part of things like that can really add to what you can bring to the university, and that's something that a lot of schools will actually seek out for. I also recommend a lot of college applications will come out around August 1st, and so do as much as you can before school starts. Because once you start adding extracurriculars and friends and grades, it's going to be a lot more stressful filling out those applications. So just do as much as you can before before you actually set foot into the classroom.
Good.
And then take advantage of all the scholarships that are out there for us. I actually got a scholarship from the National Hispanic Scholarship Fund.
Good for you.
And so there are lots of opportunities to help us get to college. One of the girls I met at my orientation, actually, she's from Macomb, her family's from Mexico City, and she got some really great scholarships to help her go to Michigan State.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and on the site for AskLatina.com, you can find a scholarship. We have a grid with lots of scholarships, and we keep adding them on. I know the SHIP also has it, Society of Hispanic Engineers, and there's a lot of different other ones that you can apply on, depending on what curriculum or where you are. Even if you're in high school, you can start applying for them like you have, and even when you are in the process of college, if you're deciding to go into grad school, there's lots of different ones too to apply. So definitely check that out on AskLatina.com. We do have that. So I'm glad you mentioned that. And that's really interesting. And of course, Michigan State's where I went, so I'm very proud that you're doing that. Go green, go white. But so that's wonderful. And one of the things I want to ask you is, do you plan to go? I know you're going into your first, you're going to do a Bachelor of Science, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you plan to go further from there, you think, or depending on how everything goes?
I think I would like to in the future. It's not something that I foresee myself doing right away, like fresh out of my undergrad, but definitely something that I want to pursue sometime in my life and in my career. And I think it would also be cool to experiment with it a little bit. Obviously, I've had a passion for robotics, and robotics engineering is kind of a cutting edge field out there. So if I could come back to school for that in the future when the curriculum's more developed and kind of integrate the two, I think that'd be amazing. But I love learning, and so any opportunity to come back and keep learning and to expand what I know and just my view of the world would be amazing.
That's wonderful. That's good. And then while you're at Michigan State, there is a group called Mujer a Mujer. They actually are a group on AskLatina.com. You can create groups, and there's a Michigan State Latina group. So you should join there and be part of that group, because you know, it's to help Latinas out as they're going through. You definitely want to find each other, and it's a really good place. So, and there's other programs that I'm involved in. So we'll make sure that we do that Lego program for the young Latinas out there. I think it's fantastic. So is there anything else you wish to talk about, or anything that you had experienced? Oh wait, I do want to ask you, the drone.
Yes.
You were involved with doing a drone. Tell us about that.
So I helped start our high school's drone club here, which is really exciting. It just started about 2 years ago, and it's just an opportunity for people to come in and fly drones that we have, or get more into drones if they're looking to buy their own. I also helped host a Droning for Girls Day. So we noticed that there weren't a ton of girls in the club, so we tried to have...
There's another program for us to start doing.
We tried to have just a day where girls could come in and fly the drones without any judgment. All the boys weren't allowed, to get them and kind of ease them into the program.
Good for you.
So it's been a really awesome opportunity to apply what I've learned in the classroom and then do something fun with my friends.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. I really enjoyed hearing everything you've been involved in, and I hope that, you know, other Latinas seeing this can see that this is a great thing. I know you enjoyed it. I can tell just looking at you that you are just so passionate of it, and you've really enjoyed everything you've done.
Yes.
And that's wonderful. And I think truly when you do give back and you do something, it's just an amazing feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do know that. It's really good. And so I think that's really all the questions I had. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Just if you're wondering whether the risk is worth it, I think it always is. It's always something worth trying, and more often than not, when you take the chance to step outside your comfort zone, it really will pay off in the future. And if it doesn't, you just learned one more thing about yourself and what you like. But I think STEM is awesome, and there are tons of ways to just get involved. So even if you're not into robotics or engineering, there's still ways that you can be part of the STEM community and really love it.
That's right. And then one of the things that I get involved in is a shoot off of Ask the Latinas. We do a Latina Empowerment Conference. And part of it is really introducing STEM. So we'll have to have you as one of our workshop presenters. Would be great. But it's really important to do that too, And so I'm sure there's other ones out there in whatever state you're in. Get involved with those because those are really good to go to and find out. And like you mentioned, SHIP, I know Society of Hispanic Engineers, and there's also Society of Women Engineers.
Yes.
Because I was part of that when I was in campus. I took industrial design and engineering there too. So it was really nice to get together with other women that are studying in that field. So it's a very big campus. So
Yes.
and you'll enjoy it. And just about any college probably has these kind of programs.
Of course, and in high school, First Robotics is actually an international organization. So more often than not, your high school might have that program, and I definitely encourage you to get involved. If they don't have First Robotics, they'll probably have Vex Robotics.
Okay.
And so there are tons of ways to get involved as early as grade 1 all the way up through high school.
Wow, that's great. Oh, grade 1.
Yeah.
You can really start early there. That's
Yes.
wonderful. Well, thank you, Valentina. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on everything that you've accomplished.
Thank you.
You know, I'm proud of you, actually, to be honest with you, and just so proud to see everything you've accomplished. I can just imagine all the things you're going to do, which is going to be so amazing. I know when we had the first conversation, you mentioned you were going to go to Chile and you were interested in the wind.
Yes, the wind farms there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And that's very fascinating. So you're going to have a wonderful future ahead of you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for all the advice you've given other Latinas and being part of our show.
Well, thank you for having me here, and thank you for working to help inspire other girls to get involved in what I have.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I enjoy it. Well, that concludes our show with Ask the Latina. I hope you enjoyed it, and please share this because it does have great information. And we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you, and have a great day.